Feels good to be in Hazleton. I had many thoughts as I was coming here today through this part of western Pennsylvania, looking over an area that in many ways represents one of the important roots of America's strength, in terms both of its industrial might, the might that helped to build this nation, but also the strength of faith and the strength of family and the strength of folks who had come to America from places of different heritage in order to seek a better life for themselves and their families, but also in order to find here the dignity of their liberty, the dignity of a way of life in which, though there would be those who sought to exploit them, yet there would also be opportunities for them to come together, to know their strength, and in the end, to build an economic future that was based upon greater justice and respect, both for their needs and for their capacities, and for the justice that is due to each and every human being. This part of the country reminds us of the deep and solid roots that America has, and that those roots extend to places all around the world. It seems then, in some ways incongruous, that Hazleton has come to be a symbol of what is regarded these days as our great crisis of immigration. But I think that's at least in part because that very way of understanding it misunderstands what is really going on. And that misunderstanding, and part of the effort to set it right, is why I have chosen to come to Hazleton this evening in order to talk not only about that crisis and what it represents, but about the larger crisis that it manifests. A crisis that goes beyond this or that issue of the day, that goes beyond our borders, that goes beyond the issue of immigration, that goes beyond the question of the impact that that is having upon our communities and upon our nation, and that touches indeed upon the deepest question that confronts us as a people in this time. And that is the question: what has become of our liberty? What has become of our republic? What has become of that government of, by, and for the people, for which so many have given their all, have shed their blood? We understood what I have tried to get across in many statements and speeches. I don't think that what is concerning so many people in America right now is that folks are coming from elsewhere seeking a better life in America, seeking jobs and so forth and so on. Come on. We all know that in many ways the very community in which we are gathered here today is the result of that self-same movement of peoples toward the light of better hope and better opportunity. But that light of better hope and better opportunity was a light held aloft by a nation that respected the simple principle that at the end of the day, government is the servant and instrument, not the master. And what is so disturbing Americans throughout our country right now as they look at what has been going on with our borders, at the impact of uncontrolled illegal immigration on our hospitals, on our schools, on the safety, on our roads and highways. They look at this problem, they express their concern, they manifest the different ways in which it has affected their lives, and time and time and time again, those they have elected to represent them have ignored their heart, ignored their concerns us in the issue of immigration is not that people are coming, but that the people are not being heard. Not that we wish to slam the door in the face of hope and opportunity, but that the door is being slammed in the face of our concern that we should have secure borders and policies that are governed by our interests, not by the interests of others. I have tried to express this as what I call the crisis of our sovereignty. I will spend some time this evening, and it's not that I want to be pedantic or in any way academic, no, but I think we're faced with a crisis of discourse in America because we've allowed people to deprive us of the words and terms we need in order to talk about the situation we're in. When people are trying to take something away from you, one of the sure and effective ways in which they can do it is by removing the understanding that allows you to see how valuable and important it is, so that you won't recognize what they're stealing. I use the word sovereignty because it's one of those words we don't employ enough anymore, and yet the government of, by, and for the people established by the Constitution of the United States embodies the concept of the sovereignty of the people. Not the sovereignty of judges or governments or others, no. The sovereignty of the people. That's what Lincoln meant when he referred to this government of, by, and for the people. It means that at the end of the day, the folks who are sitting in the great offices of power, the presidency, the Congress, the governorships, the legislatures, they are chosen by and answered to the people. It means at the end of the day that the very documents we refer to, even the Constitution, the supreme law of the land, is not the sovereign of the land, for it is ordained and established by we the people and derives its authority from our. When you come upon a moment where something that's clearly important and of great concern to our people, like our borders, is not only being neglected and ignored, but in various ways abused, to such a degree that some little cliques of power who benefit from cheap labor, who promote ideologies of internationalism, they seem to be having more control over the situation than the folks in our communities who must live day to day with its consequences. And that's just natural. In America, people raise their voices, they want some response, but it's interesting to me that on this issue, really, for the first time consistently in my lifetime, I have seen an issue where the overwhelming majority of the American people have expressed their will for secure borders, for the enforcement of our immigration policies, and yet time and time again, we have had lip service, we have had gestures, and they have continued the inexorable movement toward the destruction of our borders, and with it, the destruction of the physical identity of these United States. What's happening is that on an issue that's of deep concern to people are being ignored. And as I wrote once in an article, if the folks who are responding to us in this way are no longer listening to the American people, if they're no longer representing the American people, then who do they represent? Who are they responding to? More and more, it seems as if we have drifted away from that paradigm of Republican self-government that our founders established in this land. And instead of a government of, by, and for the people, where by constitutional means we can achieve representative government that reflects our concerns, our priorities, our faith, and ultimately our will as constitutionally determined, we have a system more and more catering to the few, based upon the manipulation of our electoral process to such a degree that these days it seems more and more as if, though we have choices, yet we have no choice.